Hey guys, we're waiting for the next speaker to get set up. We'll take a second. Hey Samuel, let's have you share your screen. So hover over your face or your avatar on the bottom left, and then share screen.
Sorry, where do I share the screen from?
So on the bottom left, you should see your avatar. Just hover over it and click share screen.
Got it. Cool. Is my screen visible?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, cool. So I'll be speaking about reorgs specifically on layer 2 and on layer 2's fast finality guarantees. Firstly, about me, I have been in crypto for quite a while. I am currently working with Rari Capital, which is a lending app. You can check them out. You can search me on Twitter. Now, let me first explain what is this topic essentially. So currently, what are the kinds of finality we have? We firstly have finality, which is determined by the nodes, essentially, which is social consensus. Social consensus is very slow, obviously. If you ask nodes to like resolve some conflict, resolve a hard fork, or even just find out like what is going on, they're going to take a lot of time. They're going to take hours, weeks, if not more time to debate about it and communicate in a slow manner, communicate on Twitter, etc. So social consensus is slow, but it is also the most trusted system. Then we have layer 1, which is the block producers. This could be miners or validators usually. And there you have finality, where if a majority of block producers agree to something, then we assume a transaction or a set of transactions or any interaction has finality. Before that L1 finality happens, there is obviously one single block producer who first includes your transaction in a block. So that's where the process starts, but you only get layer 1 finality when all the block producers agree. Now layer 0 can reorg layer 1. So if the nodes say that, okay, we are going to change our initial state, we are going to checkpoint from here and start a different chain altogether, or we don't like these validators, we're going to fork off from here. Nodes can do that, and in theory it's supposed to be a non-violent process. In practice, nodes can like screw over other nodes too by hard forking if they really want to, but so far we are assuming nodes are not like that. Then in layer 1 we have the assumption that majority of block producers are going to move towards an honest goal, and they're not going to reorg either other people or themselves back in time. But yeah, that is an assumption. And layer 0, and now once we come to layer 2, when I say layer 2, I'm basically meaning rollups, zk rollups and optimistic rollups. Now there is a demand for a new kind of finality which is even faster than that of layer 1. So layer 1 can finalize, right now it finalizes in about 3 minutes, but if you want to be very safe, you want to wait even a bit more than 3 minutes. But on layer 2, people are going to want finality much faster than 3 minutes. This depends on the use case. If they're doing simple transfers, maybe they don't want it. But if they're doing trading, for instance, they're going to want finality before that. Like they put a trade and within 300 milliseconds, they want their trade to be confirmed. People are going to want that. And therefore, rollups are also likely going to build some sort of fast finality to cater to this demand. And now, because you have a new notion of finality, you also have a new notion of reorgs, because you can only reorg something until it reaches finality. Like once something has finality, once say nodes have agreed to something, there is no concept of reorg. And once a majority of block producers have agreed to something, there's no concept of reorg unless that majority themselves decide to reorg. Same way, there is another newer, weaker kind of reorg that we can define, where either the majority of L2 block producers want to reorg themselves, or one L2 block producer wants to confirm something and then not follow through with it. We will get more into that later, and it's still a pretty open design space. Now, what's the difference between reordering and reorging? If you ask me, it's just a semantic distinction based on where you actually get finality. In layer 1, we have basically defined it like if the transactions are within one block, so within one L1 block, which is 13 seconds as of right now, if you move transactions back and forth in that block, it is reordering, and this is allowed. And if you want to reorder transactions beyond 30 seconds, then 13 seconds, then you will be reordering L1 blocks, and now that is called reorg. So we have defined this sharp below it is acceptable, and because it's acceptable, chances are it's going to like maximally occur. And well, Flashbots is their MEV get product is ensuring maximum reordering within a single L1 block, and across multiple blocks we are deciding that reordering is bad and we don't want this, and that is assumed. And what is good or bad depends on what finality a user assumes. So if a user assumes that, okay, after 3 minutes, say 12 Ethereum blocks, their thing is confirmed, and based on that, they take some other action, then the user is hurt. If after, say, maybe 20 minutes, there's an Ethereum reorg, I mean, then it's a problem for them. So whether reordering or reorging is good or bad depends on what finality the user is assuming. So now if we introduce this concept of fast finality on layer 2, like within 1 second, within half a second, we are going to confirm a transaction, there's also going to be a new notion of good and bad there. And like if you got a fast confirmation within half a second and then that later gets reorged, the user can get harmed. So yeah, what is a reorg and what is reordering the definition can also get changed. And especially in layer 2, the definitions of the two actually like blur quite a bit depending on which system you use. Yeah, this I somewhat already covered. Layer 0 is very slow. Nodes need to only sync like once in every few hours or days. You will find Bitcoin maxis who will even accept reorgs like months and years into the past. Now this depends on the values of the nodes. The layer 1 miners, validators need to be in sync within like few seconds or few minutes, otherwise they're not going to get rewards and they are going to like not make the best of their initial investment. And layer 2 is going to have even tighter assumption that these layer 2 block producers need to be in sync within like maybe 100 milliseconds or 200 milliseconds or 300 milliseconds. The point is it will be smaller. Now if we see how well, like if you want to go like up to the absolute limit, how quickly can we provide finality? Now this depends on the physical limits as to where these block producers are located, where the nodes are located, but these are some normal good latencies that can be provided without spending an exorbitant amount on hardware. So if you want to do a transatlantic signal from America to Europe, more specifically like New York to London, a round trip signal is about 90 milliseconds. If you want to do a signal within America, its round trip is 45. Within Europe, it is 30. This provides a lower limit on how quickly you can get fast finality. It also provides an upper limit on how much you can decentralize the layer 2 block producers, because layer 2 block producers now need to be able to have like very high reliability, very low latency, and they need to be always on, like they should never go off, because that could also cause problems if users have assumed that layer 2 block producers are always there and they're not going to go offline for even a second, then that is a problem. So the layer 2 by itself is a sort of centralizing force. We are still assuming that we want layer 2 in spite of it. Now comes the question how to pick the layer 2 block producers. This is a very open research question and everything actually boils down to this. So the rest of this presentation will actually end up dealing with lots of assumptions and open questions, but I'll still try and explain a little bit. So one model is you have a single layer 2 block producer for one L1 block. So for each L1 block, you have a single L2 block producer. And we are assuming that this layer 2 block producer will provide a fast finality guarantee in good faith. Good faith in the sense that we are trusting that layer 2 block producer to provide this fast finality guarantee. We can't actually enforce that this producer should provide this guarantee. Like if the layer 2 block producer is elected and then they don't provide any guarantee about fast finality, we can't actually do anything. We are just trusting that hopefully you will provide it. And once a fast finality guarantee is provided, it is provided using a signed message. saying that okay, your transaction will be included. And once that message is there, if later the block producer goes against their word, you can go and slash their bond on L1. So this bond slashing is the main way to enforce fast finality, but you can only enforce that after you have been provided the signed message in the first place. And if you have a single layer 2 block producer, there isn't any way you can actually enforce that you will get this signed message in the first place. So now there's no direct way to penalize if someone refuses to provide these signed messages at all, or say they provided to only a few users. And there are some additional things here. The users will then need to essentially gatekeep like who's going to be a layer 2 block producer, because there is some level of trust which is there. This can be enforced either by sending the transactions through like a private mempool. So then all the other layer 2 block producers, they're essentially locked out because they don't even know what the transactions are. So that is one way in which users can vote on who the layer 2 block producer should be. The other way they can pick it is if it's directly enforced on chain, like in the on chain contracts itself, this person is picked, like only this person can be a layer 2 block producer. And ideally, you don't want to rely on profit mechanisms to pick the layer 2 block producer. Like you don't want to say that use a like proof of stake network, a second network. You don't want to ask them to stake too much ETH or too much of a new token, because that again, it becomes a slippery slope to like incentivizing to extract more profit, and extracting more profit would mean like wanting to reorder more. And yeah, in general, the economics of this are a bit hard to study. So you have the investment, which is the bond, and the profit, which is layer 2 fees minus layer 1 fees. So the layer 2 is going to pay fees to layer 1, and the bond is going to be like, depending on the bond, accordingly the fees are, depending on the fees, accordingly the layer 2 block producer will have to figure out how much bond can they provide, because they don't want to provide an unlimited bond either. And it all depends on this expected future profit. And reordering can also happen selectively. As I said, they can select that these users are the ones who are going to create a lot of profit in the future, so let's be honest with them. And these other users are just coming here only once. They're not going to generate any profit for us in the future, so let's just reorder them. And this is also somewhat similar to like a centralized exchange, like say FTX or Binance. They have, in theory, they have like unlimited reordering power. In practice, they will do the minimum they can get away with, because if they do too much, then all the users are going to switch to another place if another such rollup can exist. So this is a bit tricky to study, but yeah. The other thing you can do is you split a layer 1 block of 13 seconds into like even smaller layer 2 chunks, and then you run a consensus algorithm there, and then you assume like, okay, a number of layer 2 block producers, like a majority of layer 2 block producers are going to be honest. We assume this. Now you need to figure out what consensus algorithm will you use here among all these layer 2 block producers. And everything has to happen very quickly. So if you say split this 13-second L1 block into L2 chunks of say 1 second each, so within each 1 second, you need to have a like number of attestations to take place, because you don't want one person producing at a time. You want like everyone, the number, all these layer 2 block producers producing together. So you can do that. If you assume honest majority, you can also penalize block producers who go offline. So like say there are 10 block producers, one of them went offline, the remaining 9, for not only they can keep the L2 running, but they can also penalize this guy. This can be done. You will have to incentivize incentives, like you need to design this all very carefully. The economics are pretty similar, except now you can also have fast finality fees where users can pay in the transaction itself. They can specify that they are paying these fees just to have the fast finality, that they, within say 200 milliseconds, they want their transaction confirmed. And assuming a honest majority of these all layer 2 block producers, you can actually enforce that. Now, whether you can actually assume a honest majority among like say 10 different people, 10 different layer 2 block producers is a different question. And same as in layer 1, fee variability, like varying fees is the reason why reorgs are a major reason why reorgs are happening, and tail events like say DeFi hacks and all are another reason. And you can try to smooth that to some extent. This is like still very open question how you will smooth fees in like very such small amounts of time, but there might be a way to do it, or there might not. We'll have to see. And now comes the last question, which is also a very open question, which I haven't explored in this presentation, but I think it's very important. All this concept of layer 2 fast finality, providing finality in half a second or even less, all that only matters if the layer 1 is running smoothly. If your layer 1 is getting reorged, even like 2 blocks, 3 blocks, that can be a problem for your layer 2 fast finality. So you need to ensure that layer 1 doesn't decide that, okay, they don't like the layer 2 chain and they're now going to mess the layer 2 chain. And you need to ensure like the incentives are aligned. How you do this is an open question. Do you want to upgrade Ethereum and introduce like Ether inflation on your layer 2? Do you want to introduce a new token for layer 2 and have that token inflation? If that token is inflating, how are the interests of Ether, the token, and that token aligned? Can layer 1 block producers hold the layer 2 block producers for ransom? Because now the layer 2 block producers, once they provide a fast finality guarantee, it's like their money that's on the line. So layer 1 can then mess them up and say that we are now not going to put your things in, even though you honestly want to, we are not going to put it, and instead we can ransom you. And yeah, this is pretty much an open question right now. So yeah, I guess that's about what I had to say. Lots of open questions. I had only like a couple of hours to make this presentation. So yeah. How do I stop sharing?
So thank you, Sam. Because we're running 25 minutes late, so let's move forward and answer all the questions in the side chat. And
Sure.
Sam literally put this together in about a few hours matter. So thank you so much.